Sometimes when I'm working out problems to do with Easter eggs in Call of Duty, I use spreadsheets, and I don't talk about them very much because I think a lot of people find this kind of thing boring, but there's always a little bit of kind of speculation about how I solve stuff, and people saying like, oh, Activision tells them everything, or like, oh, we must be data mining and stuff like that, and it's more that I do a lot of work that's kind of dull. If you watch my streams, and check them out, I stream on YouTube now, you can see that I do all of this stuff on stream, so there's like video of me doing all of it, but in videos and stuff like that, I tend not to talk about it too much because it's kind of dull. But personally, I actually really enjoy using kind of data, using spreadsheets and stuff like that to try and solve problems. I find it fun, I genuinely do. I know it's kind of geeky, but you know, Geeky Pastimes, that's kind of where the name comes from a little bit. And this isn't the sort of thing that like True Game Data and JGod do with weapon damage profiles and stuff like that. I'm sure they enjoy that kind of thing. I'm not really interested in that kind of data gathering side of it. I'm more just interested in, okay, we have a problem, can we use the information we have to try and work out a solution to it? Even if maybe the developers didn't quite expect us to do it this way. So the problem we have at the moment, the problem I want to talk about and in this video I'm going to explain, is this bar. This bar tells us when the next Rebirth Easter egg is going to go live, and I need to know that information because I'm a content creator. My best performing videos are to do with Easter eggs in Warzone, so I want to be there live, trying to work this out as soon as it goes live, trying to get a guide video up as soon as possible, all of that good stuff, because not many people know who I am, so it helps me to get a video up early, because then I'm more likely to get seen by people. I'm more likely to get, you know, featured on stuff like Eurogamer or Dexerto or Charlie Intel or something like that, because that's how I get exposure, that's how I grow the channel. So this is genuinely really important to me. And this bar, although you could think, oh okay, well there's 40 trillion needs to be collected in blood money on Rebirth Island, once it gets to 40 it's done, you might think, well, you just need to wait until it's close like it is now, and then you should have a decent idea of when it's done. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. The problem is way more complicated. First of all, let's assume that this is real, that this is really collecting information about how much money people are gathering in Blood Money Plunder. And it absolutely could be, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. If that's true, you've got loads of different factors to think about. Who plays Plunder? Is it kids or is it adults? If it's kids, school times are going to affect it. Like, kids probably mostly play when they get home from school in the afternoons, so there's going to be like a burst of activity then, so it's more likely to get completed sometime around then. If it's adults, adults tend to play a lot later, or they tend to play a lot more at weekends, because, you know, they'll play when they put the kids to bed and stuff like that, or when they've finished work and had dinner and all things like that. Then they'll play for a little bit, so it's more likely to finish late at night. Is it something that Europeans like, or Americans like more, or people on the Oceanic servers like more? Because that's going to shift things. Like, if there's a massive spurt when Europeans are on, that's going to be very different to if it's mostly people in Australia that really like playing this. So there's loads of different factors that might make it speed up and slow down at different times. Then you've got the problem of, what if it's not real? A lot of these challenges, like some of them have been done for kills and stuff like that, seemed kind of unlikely. The numbers they were showing us means that there's like millions of people playing at any given time, which doesn't seem likely even for a game like Call of Duty. Like, there's obviously going to be times where there's a lot less people playing and a lot more people playing, but it seems unlikely that at any given time there's millions of people doing it. And this challenge is no different. We were actually live streaming when this all kicked off, when this Blood Money playlist came live, and within 5 minutes this counter was up to 60 billion. And that didn't seem to make sense, because if you think, like, we were still watching it, we didn't actually have the playlist update in that time, but it should have gone live, some people had it. Within 5 minutes, a lot of people wouldn't have been able to get into a game. When we were searching for games, we were coming up against the same people every time, and it was taking us a while to find games, implying there weren't that many people in the playlist. 60 billion is a huge number. That's 60,000 million. So that means, assuming the average player gets 1 or 2 million, that means you've got thousands of people in that first 5 minutes that managed to max out their income within 5 minutes. That just doesn't seem likely at all. So that made me think, okay, maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe it is adding up some community time, but then obviously the developers could change stuff, because they don't want this going live in case there's glitches and stuff like that. They don't want it going live at a weekend or in the middle of the night. They don't want to have to come into work to try and sort something out when something like that's happening. They probably want this timer to end when they're at work. So then you've got to think, okay, when will that be? It will be a weekday. You need to think, where are they in the US? What time zone are they in? When do they want it to go live? Probably sometime in the mornings. Then they've got the whole day to deal with any issues and stuff like that. There's loads of different factors, which makes working out when this bar is going to finish surprisingly difficult. So the way I tried to solve it was a spreadsheet. A really, really big spreadsheet. And this looks really complicated, but it's not too bad. So in the rest of this video, I'm going to kind of explain how this works and how I approached this problem. And this is kind of similar to the way I do everything. So first of all, I started off with the bits of information that we definitely had. What time did the playlist go live? 6 o'clock on Thursday. How much money needs to be made? 40 trillion. Then I could start making recordings of, okay, what time and date did I make the recording? So this one is like 29 minutes past 8 on the Thursday. How much had been collected? Those are the only 2 bits of information I'm inputting. And I can ask my community on Discord to add to this, to like give me extra information. So whenever they're online, they can just put a screenshot on the Discord. I can see the timestamp and everything, and I can add their information to this as well. Then I can work out a load of stuff from that. So there's some stuff that I need, like how much time has elapsed since the playlist went live, and how much of the percentage is complete. So to work out time lapse, it's just what's that time minus the time that it began. To work out the percentage complete, it's just what percentage of 40 trillion is that. And then that lets me work out, okay, how much progress is being made every minute or every hour or every second or whatever you want to do. And then you can work out if it carried on at that rate. So in the first 2.5 hours, 17.5% of it was done, which is insanely fast. How long would it take to complete? At the very beginning, if it had carried on that speed, it would have been 14 hours and 10 minutes, which means the whole thing would have been over on Friday morning. So that was really important to me. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, I'm glad that I worked out this spreadsheet, because that means this is going to be finished like tomorrow. I'm going to need to make sure I wake up early and get streaming early, ready to do this. And I made my thumbnail and everything ready for the stream, so I was ready to go whenever this happened. Then I started making more recordings, and you can see all of these are just like 12 minutes apart or 11 minutes apart, and I realized it was actually slowing down. So the percentage complete wasn't going up very much, and this was showing me, this working out of how long it should take to complete and when it'll be finished by was getting further and further away, which meant that everything was getting slower. And as I did this into the time where you'd think the Americans would be coming online, so obviously there's a lot more Americans than there are British people. I'm not sure if there's more Americans than there are Europeans, but I was expecting there to be like either a steady speed or maybe even an increase in speed. It was actually slowing down loads, implying either this is fake and is all controlled by something else, or Europeans like playing Plunder a lot more than Americans do. Who knows? But it started slowing down loads, so by the time it got to midnight, it was already saying, oh, okay, this is going to actually take 28 hours instead of 14 hours, and then it went up to like 53 hours, 60 hours, 80 hours. It was looking like it was slowing down tremendously from that initial spurt. Now, all of these are just working out, looking at, okay, how much progress has been made in how many hours, so how long is it going to take from now? And it constantly seemed to be like predicting something that was getting further and further away, and I wasn't completely confident that that was the best way to look at it, because it was kind of assuming a steady speed from whenever that recording was taken, which obviously isn't necessarily the way it goes. It actually gets faster and slower all the time. So I started doing some average time calculations. So I was looking at the time difference between each recording. So like there's 12 minutes between the first and second recordings. How much progress had been made in that time, so how fast was the progress, how much progress was made per minute, and then I could work out from there, okay, if that's how the progress carried on from that point, how long would it take? And this would give me a new date to finish. These ones aren't particularly useful because this is just assuming whatever the gap was between the last 2 recordings, if the progress carried on the same as it was then, what would it be like? That would be useful if the progress was settling into a set rate. If it started off a bit wonky, but then it started to settle off because a lot less people were playing it just to get the skins and stuff like that, that would have been useful. But it very quickly showed me that it was slowing down dramatically as time went on, to the point where it would have been like nearly a month before this thing would be finished, which would be absolutely insane. But then you could see the next day it started speeding up again, and this was really useful because I could actually see, using this column, how fast it was going at any given time. So sometimes it was going, like at the beginning, 0.39, nearly 0.04% per minute, which is insanely fast. Then it went down to 0.003% per minute, which is insanely slow. And then I could kind of see different times of day when it was going fast and when it was going slow. then because I had all of these different measurements of how fast it was going at any given time, I could then do an average of that. So what was the kind of average speed it was going at any given time? And the more data I had, the longer I collected data, the more accurate this would get. And then I could finally use that with an average there to work out over time when's it most likely to finish, and that's how I ended up getting this time, which I think is probably the most likely. Now at the moment, and when I'm recording this, it's like 11 AM on the 11th, it's saying it's going to finish just before 8 PM today. That's when it's going to finish. Obviously it could speed up loads in the next few hours, it could slow down loads in the next few hours, who knows. It's the Easter holidays in the UK, so the kids are off school. It might suddenly go really fast because they're suddenly bored while their parents are at work or something like that, and they start playing absolutely loads. So it might be faster than that. This way of doing it, looking at how fast it's gone up till now and how long it's going to take to do the last sort of 8% or so, it's saying it's going to finish at 5 o'clock today. So who knows? But it's looking to me like it's going to finish this evening, so I can start making preparations thinking, okay, I'm going to delay my stream until this is very close to being done this evening, because then I'm likely to have an Easter egg to solve. So that's how I've been doing this. That's how I've been trying to solve this whole thing. It's very, very confusing when you just look at it, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And like I said, I genuinely enjoy this. It's just a bit of fun. I know this might not be massively useful. There's loads of problems in the way that I'm doing things. It might not be the best way to do everything. If you've got ideas of how I can improve this, do let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to know. And if you want to see more videos like this about how I work stuff out, let me know, because this is a very weird type of video. I don't think anyone else does these kind of videos, and you know, there's probably a reason why people don't just make videos about spreadsheets. But the upside of it, and thank you so much to everyone that's been watching all the way to the end of this video, you are absolute legends. Thank you so much. It helps me out on YouTube a bunch if you watch to the end of my videos. The upside of it is that we might have an Easter egg today, and that's super exciting to me, that we might have a new Easter egg happening today, and I can't wait to go and explore, try and solve it, try and work out how to do it. And then obviously there will be a guide here, so make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on, and all of that good stuff.